Um, Alrighty, how are you all doing? Welcome along to this week's Learn Guitar Q&A. We're on Q&A, I'm going to guess either 33 or 34. You know the drill. If you're watching this live, post a comment in the chat as we go. Happy to answer any questions that come in at any stage. And if you're watching the replay, you can search along it with the chapters. It'll all be chaptered for you. Alright? So what I want to say to begin is I'm going to hit into a topic that came up lately, and it was around the whole thing of practice and what to practice and what to put in practice blocks, because oftentimes we've songs and songs are made up of skills, and these skills require technique, and technique is something to be drilled on guitar, and the question how you drill that technique often comes into effect. So I'm going to get to the iPad here in a sec. Give me one sec. Sorry. I'm going to change my audio here. It should get better. Okay. Yeah, that should be better there now. Okay. So let's get into it. I'm going to hit into the iPad here real quick. And the question came in around like 10 to 15 minute blocks. Now, the idea of these blocks would be that somebody could do 4 blocks and get an hour's practice done. Or if somebody only had 15 minutes to do, you could get your block done and maybe do another block later on. And the idea with the blocks is that they target specific playing areas. Now, we're going to do like a high-level overview here this evening. I'm going to show you basically how I recommend practice items to you so you can make your own. And then in our group, in our community, all right, if you want like specific ones, let me know. Because the thing about it is, I could say, for example, hey Brian, welcome in, how are you doing? I could say to Brian as an example, Brian, for your practice blocks, do this. And that might work for Brian. But Anne, who's on the stream, that mightn't be any use for Anne because she might already know certain chords or done that strum pattern, you know? So the thing with this is we're taking a high-level overview. I'm going to show you how I split it apart. And then from there, you can begin to create your own. So here's the first thing. We were saying to take in a couple of blocks. So if we have these blocks here, and the beauty of this is you could do 4 different blocks in an hour. If you wanted to work on one block here on strumming, if you wanted to work another 15-minute block on your chords, if you wanted to work another 15-minute block on your picking, and another 15-minute block maybe on your musicianship. Musicianship meaning it'd be things around like listening to songs and trying to figure out chords, or like making up your own chords, or just improvising, coming up with stuff like that. And the idea with it is, it's that you could do 4 of them in the hour, different things, round out your playing. Or if right now I was to say to you, hey, the metronome, you gotta make friends with the metronome, you gotta get to know it, you gotta spend time with the metronome, then in that case, 4 yellow blocks in an hour could be the best use of 1 hour of your time. Okay, and that's not to say you need to do an hour every day. I'm just saying if you did do an hour, the beauty of this system is also that you could also just do the blocks 15 minutes. If that's all you had in the morning and you want to do musicianship and you want to do picking in the evening, that's how it would work as well. So how do we figure out what to do? Well, on guitar, we have our fretboard hand. And we have our pattern hand. I call it the pattern hand because with that hand, you can do strumming. You can do picking, like alternate picking, or you can do finger picking. Right, so there are 3 different disciplines all on their own. And then with the fretboard hand, you have chords. And then when it comes to the chords, you can begin to know your shapes. You could be learning chord changes, and you'll start to spot like themes here. Like for example, Andy, I know we spoke about changing between 2 specific chords. That's all I was doing. I was looking at your chord hand, that's what needed the focus, and then chord changes were the thing we drilled down to. And then you put in the work and you can see the rewards at this stage, which is class. The chord changes, and then the other thing, the shapes, we could be working on getting chords clearer And that's to do with specifically like bar chords would be a great example of that. Because there's no getting to know bar chords and all of a sudden, hey Thomas, welcome in, how are you doing? Can I post a sheet? 100% William, I'll post it inside our community, 100%, yeah. And in case anybody's wondering what is this app, it's called Notability. It's a really cool app for iPad. So then we get the, and anybody watching this anywhere else, if you want to hop on and get the diagrams, just come to YouTube. So we have our bar chords. Now with the bar chords, what we're watching is our number one focus with that is clear chords. Okay, and then we could step up to chord changes. And when you think about it, with your chords, like just for a second, all you've ever got to learn is either a new shape, and then when you get the shape, what chord change are you going to and from? That'll be another practice item. Then if it's a tricky chord, if it's unclear, you're working on getting it clear. And with chords, that's generally all you're doing. It's a different conversation around what are you doing with your pattern hand. Okay, that's good to hear, Thomas. Good. Yeah, the iPads, once you get one Mac device, that's it. It's game over. So that we got the clear chords and the bar chords. Now, of course, then there's like scales, and that's where we'd be getting into like fills, like doing fills like we did in Have You Ever Seen the Rain, and doing fills and other things. So the other thing is with the scales, it will be to do with finger movements. So that would be to do with finger drills. Be to do with placement, finger placement. And it would be to do with basically an overall arching theme, which I'm going to zoom out to now in a sec, of the following. So, you got your fretboard hand, you got your pattern hand. So far we've spoken about chords, we've spoken about scales, and then underneath these are themes that for the longest time I didn't want to put these names on it, but they ended up coming up. I was doing a workout a long time ago, and I just saw like there was speed, there was agility, there was endurance and strength, and I was like, that's kind of funny because like those things are in guitar. So for that reason, with these things, you are building out speed, building out strength. Think of your bar chords. STRNGTH. My God, my spelling. Speed, strength, endurance. Right? And have a think. Like, I know I haven't spoken with a few of you that like you could get a chord progression working once, like a line of chords working, and then all of a sudden you might go, geez, oh, I forgot I have to play like 20 times in a row for the whole song. And I played like 4 times, and on the 5th time it starts to like, weird stuff happens. And that's where your practice would actually be around endurance. Like technically, there's nothing wrong with your shapes. There's nothing wrong with your chord changes. Your chords are clear most of the time. It's an endurance problem, not a chord problem. And that's where we often get like mixed up on guitar. Okay, so that's one thing to watch. Okay, and then with the strumming patterns here, we have new strum patterns. And by the way, if you have questions on any of this, just post them in the chat, because the whole stream isn't going to just me on a soapbox here talking about this. I'll be going to Q&A pretty soon. Strum, we have some patterns. We could learn a brand new pattern. We'll be working on our downs and ups. With the picking, we could be working on, again, the downs and ups, different patterns, and there's different types of picking as well. Then with finger picking, you could be learning a new pattern. You could be learning maybe tone. You'd be working on your placement. And for those of you on the finger picking journey, some of these terms, that's where I got them from. So there's a whole host of things, you know, and a lot of things on guitar, oftentimes we look at this thing and we're working on the song, but underneath the song is the skills, and underneath the skills is the technique. And to form the technique, Those are our drills, right? And that's the problem at times. If you get stuck in a song, it's very easy to kind of go, oh man, there's a problem. I don't know what the problem is. I'm just not getting the song. And then you go to a different song, hit a wall, go to a different song, and that's the cycle, you know? So if we can drill in at the technique bit here and get in there, it really helps. Now, before I give a sample or two of like a 15-minute plan, do you want to type in the chat? I'll see which gets the most votes. Would you like me to do one around the fretboard hand or the pattern hand? Okay, I'll give it a sec. I'll give you a second to post in the chat on YouTube. So, would you like to see me do a pattern for the fretboard or the pattern hand? Alrighty. Hey Rosinio, yeah man, I have videos on TikTok and Instagram, but YouTube is my spiritual guitar home. All right. Okay, I see chat here about the guitar. Brian, hope the new guitar is on the way. That's good. Cheers, William. Appreciate it. Okay. Excellent. Declan, welcome in. How are you doing? Finding my way back that short, sharp. Yeah, 100%. Short, sharp, focused things. Definitely. On a stream, Declan, there, it was 2 weeks ago, I think. We got talking about books. And there's a book called The One Thing. It's really good. It just speaks about like focusing on the one thing that matters the most right now. It's a book about life, really, but it's so applicable for guitar. Okay, we've fretboard, we've pattern hand, pattern hand. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will do in our really helps. Yeah, 100%. My lovely horse hand. Yeah, that's both hands, is it? That's pattern hand. Okay. Oh, we're in a dead tie here. Okay, do you know what I'll do? There's no other questions in, so I'll split it down the middle. Okay, we'll do fretboard and we'll do pattern hand. So I'll start with pattern hand since that began to get more votes. Okay, so with the pattern hand, what I'll do is I'll pick strumming. Okay, we'll just start with strumming. Now, the key thing here is out of the 15 minutes, you want to look at doing 2 to 3 minute reps or drills. Okay, so ideally then you could have 5 of these in the 15 minutes. So let's just say you do 3-minute drills. I'll cut it to 3 minutes, okay? You do 3-minute drills and you do 5 of them. And that will give us our 15 minutes. Now, here's the thing. If you have the appetite for it and the discipline, sometimes spending 15 minutes on one of these elements. So I'm saying like to do 3 minutes on something, then 3 minutes on something else. But if you're to do 15 minutes on one of the things, that can be the most beneficial thing. Like I was doing the last day, like this song here, I was going. And I spent a couple of minutes just going. Just on those notes, right? And the reason for that was it was to get the tone and the technique, you know, and that was easily 10 minutes, you know. But the argument for that is it boring? It can be, yeah. But what if that's the only time in your playing life you had to do it on that playing element and you're done, you know? It's like that story of 2 students of one, just give me 1 sec here, let's flip one thing. Here we go. 2 students, and they're both told it will take them 10 weeks to master bar chords if they practice this amount of hours. And one student goes, wow, 10 weeks. Oh, I don't like bar chords. And they do half the amount of work they're meant to, so it takes them 20 weeks. Whereas the other student goes, you know what? I just want to get this out of the way as quickly as possible. And they do double the work and they get it done in 5 weeks. So you have 5 weeks and 20 weeks, all because of a different attitude and approach. So that's one small thing to watch. Now, when it comes to strumming, what we'll get here is, I'll just double check here we're okay. Okay. Last minute vote, tip the scales. Don't worry, we're going to do both. And Rosinio, just in case, I know you mostly shred away in electric, don't you? The acoustic, the community is primarily acoustic, just to let you know. Just to let you know as well. But we can chat. If you want to find out more, give me a shout. We can chat more about it. But all this amazing crew are inside. They're absolutely class. So the next thing is, with the 3 minutes, I'm going to get into this. The first thing I would work on would be with the metronome. Okay, I'd set that, and I found these markers lately. I'm going to pull them up here. It was suggested tempos. What tempo is rock? Got it here. Okay, I'm going to flip my screen. There we go. Do you see here? I was curious lately, and I looked this up, and I was like, what are the typical BPMs for different genres? And pop, you can see there it's 100 to 130. Rock is 110 to 140. Metal goes up to 160. R&B is nice and slower, you know. So 100 to 130 could be a good little benchmark with the metronome. So metronome work. And what I do in those 3 minutes, I would take a chord progression and I just play it with the metronome. And if it was a chord progression that I found that I was speeding up on, or that I found difficult or something, the metronome would hold me to task. So I do some metronome work for like 3 minutes. And then the other thing with the strum pattern hand I do is some tone work. And I'll give demos of these in a second. Tone work would basically be like literally sitting with my G chord and just going. Like, how does it sound? Am I forcing anything? How am I holding my pick? Is it going down like that? Right? And with that then, what you'll find is, like, you're paying attention to where you're strumming. Are you holding the pick lightly? Are you staying close to the strings after you pick or strum? If you have a habit of doing this, or I know I'd spoken with a few of you about, like, maybe if you have a more attacking type of strum, like it's a chance to like just set a 3-minute timer and just go lighter, right? So the whole time you're training your hands. So that'll be some tone work. Technique work then would be another one. And I know like some of these all come under the thing of technique, but here's an example. Okay. For another 3 minutes, if I was doing technique work, you could basically be checking how are you holding the pick and are you gently gliding down the strings. Okay. And if you find you have tension in your arm as you strum, right, you could gently just check in, are the muscles relaxing, right? And there is a serious case to be made for doing any one of these on their own for 15 minutes. But the beauty of this system is that if I'm here and I start to get bored, well, if I bounce to here, I'm still working under the general umbrella of strumming. And if I get bored here and go up to here, I can kind of bounce around. And at the end of 15 minutes, I've basically worked on strumming. Rather than go on YouTube and look up a song tutorial and an intro or something else. And the algorithm starts to like push me around instead of me directly focusing my attention. Alrighty, so technique work. And then the other thing then will be to play along with songs. Why? Because 2 reasons. The first thing would be if you're playing a little bit slower than the song, it's going to kind of emotionally let you know the feeling of going, man, that's how fast it goes. Versus going, well, I know I'm not there yet. I know it's not fast enough yet, or that song sounds fast. It's one thing to intellectually know that, but to like put on the song and have to like try and stick with it. And the goal of that 3 minutes isn't to play with the song. The goal is to suddenly kind of jolt yourself to go, geez, that's fast, because that'll focus the practice. Okay, that's kind of like, I kind of call that the treadmill effect. right? It's a bit safer though than pushing speeds on treadmills. Okay, so you've metronome work, that's for the steadiness. You've the tone work, that's a bit more holistic, kind of artsy, but it's valid. Technique work, how are you strumming? Are you staying close to the strings? Playing along with stuff, aka kind of the treadmill, jolting yourself into effect. Now, when you think about that, you're keeping steady, you're working on your tone, your technique, playing along. The last one I'd also recommend is breaking down the strum pattern. Now, what I mean by that is if there's a strum pattern that you're looking to learn that you've been avoiding, break it down into bits and start drilling it, okay? Like for example, the Wonderwall strum pattern is long. It goes on like this. That's how long it is versus a strum pattern that goes, right? They need to be learned first, but there's no day that comes where you can magically sit down and just play all the Wonderwall strum pattern. So you could break it down into sections. Now, the other thing with this is like some of these are warranted to spend 15 minutes on them, but it's just the effect that you can bounce around. Now, before I get into the other one, any questions? Declan, this was an amazing question last week, so thanks for bringing it up. I know you'd mentioned practice routines, like 15 minutes. If any of you have questions, I'm going to throw a quick check on the chat. Okay. Nice. Come on, William. Jeez, that's good going. Brendan, good to see you again. Nice, nice, nice. Metronome. Yes, I know. Okay. Stephen, great question. I'll get to that in a while now as well. That is good. Can you share in the chat where you feel you've plateaued? Like, where exactly? If I said to you, where do you feel stuck? What would you answer with? Okay, great question. Okay, so crew, watching this, do you have any questions on this one? Or are we good to move to the fretboard hand? Or are we good to move, yeah, the fretboard hand, I mean, sorry. Okay, I'll be readying up the fretboard hand one. Just keep in mind the chat as well, just in case. Okay. Okay, no questions, that's good. Okay, we're going good. All right, let's get into the fretboard hand. So, the fretboard hand then, if we take a look, so I was saying chords, chord shapes. The fretboard hand generally is like, when you think, ready to roll, perfect, thank you. The fretboard hand, when you think about it, think about all the learning you've all done before I met you and we all met. The key problems that most players have is around chords being clear, specific chord shapes. It's around not like wanting to speed up chord changes, or there's specific chord changes causing problems. Bar chords is a whole topic. And then with the other hand, strumming and finger picking. Those are key things. And then of course there's theory and stuff like that, of course. But when you think of all the guitar info that's out there online, those are the key playing problems that most players I meet bring up, right? Now, because of that, the fretboard hand can be a bit of an easier one to look at. And because of that, chords, when I say chords here, you can do bar chords or open chords with this, right? So we'll take a look. Cheers, Dan. Thanks. Okay. And of course, the notes, crew, I'll have these notes for you inside the community in the morning. No problem. So we've bar or open chord. Okay, so the first thing is chord shape. This one's going to go by way faster. Chord shape. That's your clear chord check. Okay, so for 3 minutes, you could be basically, and this is where, right, the minutes thing, particularly strength-based exercises on guitar, that's why the smaller windows of minutes are better. Like, I couldn't say to you, spend 20 minutes working on your bar chords because your muscles get tired. So that's why rotating is good. So if I was working on this, take it off, put it back on. Okay, and of course then, you know, if that's like making sure it's clear, but perhaps you could be doing construction work on a chord, and I'll explain that in a sec. Construction work on a particular shape. I was teaching somebody lately, and I'd given them a brand new chord shape, and they'd come in, and when you're learning open chords, there can come a stage where you kind of go, oh, I'm sound with chords. But a new chord will come up, a new chord shape, and you meet it and you go, oh man, this one's hard work. I thought I was like past this open chord stage. But what I said to them, and I'll share it here, it was like there's a house being constructed nearby. And I was like, you know, sometimes you have to space out your chord work to construct it. And I said, nobody's going to that construction site after a small period of time going, where's the house? But they are going to the construction site going, are we seeing progress? Is it being constructed? Is it being, and there, like every time I drive by, there's extra progress, you know? So that's the thing with your chords. You could be working on your construction work here and you're looking for signs of progress. That's what you're looking for. Not to fully get it yet, maybe, but for progress. Okay, so as an example, bar chords would be one. Maybe you're learning, like there's this one here, an open B flat type chord. 4-fingered F can be tricky for some. It could be other types, barring indexes, anything like that. Okay. So then the next thing is you've chords, the chord shapes with the clear chord check. You could be working on the construction of a shape in particular. Chord change drills. Okay, for example, I'll pick E minor to B7. I'll just say that. And a chord change drill, then you're basically going E minor to B7. Oh yeah, that's in a song. Do you know that one? Woo. She's Scottish, Brian. Katie Tunstall. Woo. Woo. See what I mean? So I might have to drill my E minor to B7 shape there. So that's chord change drills. Then you have chord progressions. Okay, and with chord progressions, you got that could be E minor, B7, D, A minor. So now you could be practicing that in total for 3 minutes. And this is where some of these are interdependent. So like, let's just say I practiced this and I had a problem changing from E minor to B7. That's when I'd be like, well, just go up here and do a ton of this little block and repeat it until you get it, then come back here and repeat that, you know? And then we have song sections. And that's where you could be working on a verse of a song, you're working on the chorus, the bridge, or an intro, whatever. The song section then, let's just say you have your chord progression, which are made up of chord changes, which build into song sections, which could get you your verse, could get your pre-chorus or your chorus or whatever it is. And then you could be building that out. Now you'll notice at no stage here have I said singing and playing. You know, we're in we're in the nuts and bolts here playing guitar. And then you can be putting singing in on top of it. All right, so that's your fretboard hand. So a quick little summary here. We've had the strum pattern hand. And again, if it was finger picking, working with the metronome. Or, dare I say the word, sound slice. And you know, be like, I'm just doing 1 minute on sound slice. I'll do 14 on anything else. So then we get tone work. That'll be finger picking. Technique work, if I mentioned that to you about like anchoring your pinky down or relaxing your hand as you go. playing along with something, maybe a song, maybe sound slice, and breaking down a finger picking pattern. You know, like if this one, that's one, but if it was something like this, take a bit longer. Okay? Rightio. So she is. Okay, that's good. Right, folks. That's the strum pattern hand and the fretboard hand. Okay? And at any given stage, that's the blocks. Now, I will expand this out. Like we'll dig into more of this and I will expand it out, but that's it in a nutshell. Just a high level overview. Okay? Any questions on it before I go to Q&A? Anybody? Okay, I'll leave the chat open for a sec there, and then I'm going to check here for questions. But shout out to Declan. Seriously great question. Thank you. Okay. We got questions coming in here. Okay. Yes, Sound Slice. This broadcast is sponsored by soundslice.com. Okay, so I'm going to set off some of these questions. Okay. Right, so question from Brian. Is it better to learn one genre of music or could you spread yourself too thin by learning too many? I would remove genre for the beginning and I dip into songs. So as an example, like there's different disciplines. Like William is learning some jazz right now for a gig, or there's some jazz. Yeah, there's some jazz in Godspell. Hope I have that right, William. But like the thing about it is, when you open up a new genre online, it opens up all types of techniques, all types of common best practices, and unless you get the basics first, all these are built upon the basics. So what I'd recommend generally is like nice pop songs to begin with, or well-known songs to begin with, Brian, and then from there dip into other things. Like if you opened up jazz right now, that would be a minefield, right? So yeah, nice 4-chord songs to begin. Get the steady strumming, get the chord changes, get those main chords, like all 10 main chords. And then like blues is a nice one because the chord progressions tend to repeat and you get to learn some 7th chords. And from there then you could dip into other ones. And then like you know yourself, like some artists have kind of different genres within their music. So you can kind of walk into some of them as well. All right, hope that helps. But for now, I would stick to like Knocking on Heaven's Door is a great one. Stick to stuff with open chords and just the classic strumming patterns and build it from there. Okay, let's see where we at. I'm gonna go here. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Declan. Declan shared that tip. I'm going to share it here. Put newer difficult chords into a group of 4 with maybe 3 chords I'm 100% comfortable with. Makes the progression more natural and intuitive rather than just repeating the shape. Yes, 100%. That's kind of like what the one thing is about. Like if your one thing was a new chord shape and you keep everything else the same, just add in this one new one. It gives you time to focus on. So thanks for the tip, Declan. Love Sound Slice. Woo! I'm going to get a Sound Slice t-shirt. Okay. Okay, you're welcome, Brian. Let's see. I just don't feel it. Okay, I'm going to share this sec. Okay, so a question come in from Stephen to ask, saying, I feel I've plateaued at the moment. Any tips to get out of this situation? And then I'd asked for specifics just to try and drill into it. And then what came in was, I just don't feel like I'm progressing and just seem to play the same songs I've learned, and jumping to the next level is proving to be quite difficult. That is a common thing, definitely. I know the phrase stuck in a rut or playing the same old stuff or going around in circles. That's so common. Okay, so I'm going to piggyback on what Declan shared actually, Stephen. Declan's inside our community. And that's like all the crew here you see in the chat. That's the power of the community. There's the shared knowledge. So basically, what I'd say is add on one new thing. So if you're playing the same songs, what chords are in the same songs? and how could you use a different set of chords. So if I was to go full on, I'm going to remove this a second. 1 sec. Okay, perfect. Okay. To the whiteboard, to the Batmobile. Okay. So Stephen, check this out. Let's just say you play a ton of songs that have G, E minor, C, and D. Well, 1 degree away from that will be to add in the A chord and then start learning some songs that have D, G, and A in them. Okay? That there, and spend a bit of time there. Another option is to rework these, transpose them with the capo. So what I mean by that is, I mean that you could do this. So let's just say I'm guessing here because I'm running by what you shared. If you play a ton of one set of chords, go to Ultimate Guitar, hit the transpose button until you see a brand new set of chords and learn the song with a different set of chords. So if I was learning this here and I put a capo on capo 5 and I'm working this out in my head, D, D's now G. You could now learn some of those songs with D, G, A, and B minor, okay? And that's because you've got the capo on 5, and that's instead of the key G. That there is a new way of doing it. The other thing then is, where are you with skills? Like strumming, have you done any finger picking? If you haven't, get into that. If you haven't done if you've done a bit of basic finger picking, try different time signatures. You've 4/4, you've 6/8, you've 3/4. There's 2/4. There's all these different time signatures. So you could like Google songs in 6/8. Now, my guess would be that you've played a lot of stuff in 4/4. We all have. That's what the most popular songs are in. 6/8 would bring up different songs, and you open up that time signature, it's going to unlock different strum patterns to learn. It's going to feel weird as hell, to be honest. And that there will be a learning curve as well. You'll have different strum patterns, different tempos. Songs at... Actually, I'm going to share one of my favorite sites here. It's a long time ago. Hey, Rossinio, if you're still on this, I did a marathon in Rome once, and right before the marathon, some runner gave me a tip, and they said, oh, I listen to a playlist at this BPM, and I match my feet to the beats per minute, and it keeps me on track to run my time. So ahead of the Rome Marathon, I was like, that sounds wild, I'm going to try it. So on the morning of the thing, I basically downloaded a Spotify playlist, and without having done it, put it in, and for the whole marathon was just matching my feet to the beats. Like Can't Stop is on it, Queens of the Stone Age is on it, the Divine Comedy is on it. And I found this website, and I'm going to share it here. Go here, and you don't need to be running to do this. So if I go here, and I go songs in 90 BPM. Okay. Oh, there's new ones that have come along. Jog FM, that was the one. Okay. So, do you see this here? Like at 90 BPM, these songs come up, right? Like Kanye West, All Falls Down. And it all falls down. Right, so that's the tempo. Santeria, I don't practice. Practice Santeria, I ain't got no crystal ball. They're all going the same tempo. So basically, and if you want to do Nate Dogg, Mary J. Blige, whatever, you'll find them all in Limp Bizkit, you'll find them all here. But there's a good mix in it. And so, for example, Stephen, you could actually just Google songs in a whole new tempo and work at playing faster, okay? Another learning curve is to go longer. That's the endurance thing. So have you played like for an hour in a row? You know, and of course that comes to use cases. Like I know Niall is inside our community, is getting set to play a gig at the minute, and like playing for 2 hours or 2.5 hours is the goal. So endurance is high on the priority list. But they're just some ideas, right? And have a use for it. That's the key thing. It's like, you know, like I learned some jazz years ago just because I thought it was the thing I should do, and I didn't have a use for it, so I didn't remember a lot of it. So just try and find the use case, you know. Okay, hope that helps. And if you have any questions, pop an email to me, okay, dave@schoolofguitar.com. Alrighty, so, okay, question. How do I make my strumming, question from William, how do I make my strumming and comping sound like jazz? Okay, so I'm going to chance this one. I haven't played too much jazz. So, like, something like that, right? So what I'm doing here is keep an eye on the strumming hand and watch me go from regular playing, like regular strumming, to this sort of, and I hope, if there's a song, William, you're thinking of that you'd like to sound like, share it in the community and I'll give you a direct one, but I'm just going by feel here. So like without, with, right, what I'm doing is I'm holding my pick like extra light, even lighter, and I'm up here on the neck. And since you play a smaller guitar body as well, that's where I strum. And like, for example, Andy would have heard me say, and John would have heard me say, and Brendan around strumming around here, because generally for stuff you strum here. But if I'm doing jazz sort of stuff, it just sounds more mellow. And the second thing to watch is I'm on Barre chords because I have control over cutting off the sound. And to do that, I'm basically, my thumb is on the back here, and I relax. And you see this sort of artistic flow thing I've going on, this. They'd be some tips. Now, just to go back to our little building blocks here of guitar, I would take one of those things and do 15 minutes on it. So whether that's the learning to strum with the pick over that side of the neck, getting used to that, that'd be a couple of minutes. That artistic sort of relaxing the wrist flow thing, the playing the bar chord and relaxing it, you know, any of those. Autumn leaves, perfect, yeah. So that's like, the autumn leaves sitting by my window. Like, watch, I'm actually nearly up past the edge of the body. And then there's these fills. But to begin, I'd get the... Yeah, so just over here, okay? So it looks like really bad playing, but it works, okay? So I'd start that for a start. Give that a go, and then post, if you want to post a video inside the community, we can take a look, all right? Good question. Hi, G7 is not the same as G major 7. Yes, that is correct. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. More questions that come in here. Okay. Where are we at? 12 minutes. Okay, good. Okay. So, question came in here. I'm learning guitar from books for the last 2 years, but I still struggle to play songs. Okay, so struggling to play songs can be down to two things. First thing can be the songs you're trying to learn, and second thing is sticking with it long enough to get complete songs. Okay, that's the key thing. We want to watch out for the dopamine hits of learning, like the intro of Come As You Are and the intro of Iron Man and the intro of something else, and not having complete stuff. Like, it's good to have those to your collection. Like, it's really good to have little bits and pieces that are fun to play. But to get complete songs, what you want to do is you want to pick a song with 4 chords that go around in a loop, so you can put all your focus in working on that endurance and getting, like, playing it 20 times in a row roughly. If you play a 4 chord progression 20 times in a row, that's roughly around a 3-minute, 3.5-minute song. If the key thing as well that stops people from like completing songs is they don't feel like they're playing the song. And that's down to a couple of reasons. One is you mightn't be singing as you play. Number two is you might only be playing the chords with nothing else. So if you're a singer, or even if you half sing, just do some singing with it. It'll feel like you're playing the song, which will make you feel like completing it. The second thing is you could play along with the song online, and with that you have options. You can either play along with the audio of the song, or there's play along videos. Many channels have videos of the person just playing the guitar and playing along. Those would be key goals to finish songs, and that's what I'd say. Get 4 chords, put your focus into getting some songs and completing the songs, right? Because something will always seem important, like whether it's learning bar chords, or I've been playing for 2 years now. That means I should be doing this at this stage, and the songs thing will happen. It won't happen. You just got to dig into songs and get them going. All right. Okay. Good. Next question came in. Any suggestions how to practice songs? Yes. If you just joined, catch the replay on YouTube. We broke down a whole lot. Okay. Let's see what else have we got. Checking down through. Did you have to set up your baby Taylor? Mine came with disgusting action. Wow. Mine came. No, I got mine in a Sam Ash store in America, and it was fine at the time. Over the years, though, on a trip to California, the string it went crazy bad. Like the action on the neck, just the heat, I think. So I did send it to somebody to get set up. That's what I'd say. Just send it to somebody to get it set up. It's worth it. It is worth it. All right. It's your baby. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Question here. How to prevent missing strings while using the pick? If you're talking about missing strings as you're strumming, the key thing is stay on one chord. So if I'm missing strings, how to prevent missing strings when using the pick? So if I'm missing strings, I'd stay on one chord and I'd look down at my strumming hand for a while to be sure that I'm getting everything I need. And then once I'm sure I'm seeing it correctly, I look away and I check how it sounds. So now I'm using my ears to guide instead of my eyes, because I'll be busy here on the fretboard. And because of that, then what you want to do is you want to be listening out for it. One chord, and then start with an easy chord change. And now you're checking, are you still doing it? Then a chord progression, an easy chord progression. So even though it's something you're thinking about and looking at here, you can still draw your focus down here. That's what I do with strumming. With picking, whatever you're learning, just slow it right down. Like I was doing this week, right? This nice picking exercise, right? And if I'm missing stuff with the pick, I'm going too fast. So you just got to slow down and look down here, but then speed it up from there then. All right. Good question. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm just looking here. Questions. Cool. Liking these jazz. Yeah, Thomas, I had a gypsy jazz guitar for a while, actually. It was a lovely guitar. Django Reinhardt, amazing player. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Excellent. I'm going to share that. Brendan, thank you. Yeah. So there's recommendations on what to do with the 4 chords in this. Okay. It's all been chaptered as well. Okay. Question from Andrea. When learning a new strum pattern, you get that, but then go to sing and revert to an old pattern. Yes. That is such a thing, right? So what do you do? Especially that, I don't know, how do you find this? Do you find that you play this on a ton of stuff? Like, once I learned that strum pattern, I was like, this is legend, this is in every song. And then any song I do, it was like the strum pattern followed me around. It was in every song. I do it in every song, even though I try and get out of it. So here's what you do. Your muscle memory has a great grasp on that pattern, Andrea. And what you want to begin to do is you want to begin to, you already learned the strum pattern. That's brilliant. Now, if I asked you, what are you better at putting on the fretboard, E minor or G? Odds are you'd kind of go, they're both kind of the same. And that's because your muscle memory has equally established both into your hand. But if I asked you right now, which one have you done more of with your strumming pattern stuff, this new pattern or this one that you seem to be reverting to? Obviously that'll be the answer, the one you're reverting to. So you want to play the new one a crazy amount of times. I mean, an insane amount of times. So much so that somebody might come in and go, is everything okay? You're just playing this over and over. And you're doing it not to get it, because you can already get it. You're not doing it to be able to sing and play with it, because that'll be the end result. But you're doing it to try and embed it in the muscle memory so much, so much, so much, so much, that it stands a chance to pop up as you go to sing. And like I was saying a minute ago with the other question, visually, I would look down as I'd be singing to be sure I'm doing it. And I'd learn the words so well. If it was a song I was unsure of, like when you think of your focus, then if it's words that you mightn't be familiar with, or a melody, or chords, anything that draws your attention away from this, getting this strum pattern in, it will affect it. So what you want to do is you want to tidy up everything around it, look down at the hand, and that way you'll get visual feedback on if you're getting it or not. And the important thing then, the message sent to the brain is, if you see your hand go back to the old pattern, stop. Just stop and go again, because that sends the message to the brain then and the hands. That isn't the pattern. We're stopping if you do that, because the tempting thing can be to just be like, I'll get it next time. I'll play the old one, but it's just reinforcing the old pattern. We want the new one. All right. And the reason I'm so big on, like, a course, we aim to not look at this pattern hand, the pick hand, the finger picking hand, as we move on. But visually is the quickest feedback any of you can get on guitar. Ears are great, but things tend to happen and we pick it up after the fact. Like, it's straight away you go, oh damn, it's the other pattern again. But visually you have a chance of catching it. All right, great question. Let me see. Declan, you're trying to influence people to buy guitars. This is good. Okay, I'm going to pop this in the share. For that question came about a baby Taylor. Declan is a man in the know. This guy has a lovely guitar collection. So known to be high, worth getting it looked at. He had to take 2mm. Declan had to take 2mm off his saddles when he got it. Okay, so those are the new Taylors. Okay, great share. Thanks, Declan. Nice, good share as well. Brilliant, Stephen. Excellent. Yeah. Oh, I'm the same. I still play that pattern. That's the exact one. Yeah, that pattern, folks. We need to tackle that pattern. It's got to go. Okay. Hey, Brian, enjoy. Great to see you on the stream. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, question about pick thickness. Playing with the finger is so easy. When it comes to the pick, it's so hard. I just couldn't locate which string I was playing, as I can't feel it with the pick. Great, good. Thank you for the specific thing there. That's excellent. Okay, here's the thing. You gotta, like, whenever you're learning anything on guitar, you can get up to this zone of, like, capability with so many things on guitar, and the last thing we ever want to do is go back and feel like it's our first time holding a guitar again and feeling like a beginner. But I swear, this is the way. This is the way. If that's what's going on for you, the way to tackle it is this. You gotta, like, just whatever you're learning to pick. I'm gonna make something up here. I'll do that scale. I would act as if it was my first ever time holding a guitar. And I'd look, like what I was sharing with Andrea and a few others, I'd look at this hand just for a while, just be sure I'm getting it. And I'd take the first 4 notes and go really slow, and then I'd start to look over here and be sure that I'm feeling it out then, okay? And you will get that feel. It just takes the patience and the persistence and the practice to just, like, bring it down to that crazy basic level, right? Give that a go for a couple of days. I promise you it will work. Okay, great question. Thanks for sharing. Okay, you're welcome, Andrea. Good night, Thomas. Glad you made it. And yes, can't wait to see the videos this week. I have to keep count, folks, how many videos went up last week. It's shaping up well. Okay, question. How to accompany chords with bass notes? How to accompany chords with bass notes? How to accompany? Yeah, perfect. You're good. I'll hit reshare. Basically, what you want to do is you want to learn the bass line on its own. I played bass for a long time, and then when I went back on guitar, I realized that you can combine them up. You practice it. When I was doing it today with the song John Mayer, it goes. The bass line goes. I learned that on its own. I learned the chords on their own, and then I didn't try them all together running parallel with each other. I basically took it from the real beginning and did it that way then. Okay, so you got to break it, like the picking thing, you got to break it down to the first one or two things, all right? Excellent. Okay. Hey, you're very welcome, Techie, very welcome. Okay, folks, I think that about wraps up for this evening. I just want to check one thing. There was one more question. Okay. Excellent. Hey, Oscar, thanks for making it. Okay, so really quick question on bar chords. How to learn bar chords. Okay, I'm going to tackle this. One shape. You don't derail all your guitar playing progress to suddenly get into bar chords. You learn them on the side. It's a construction project. You learn G major first. Okay, why G major instead of F? Because F will be the one you see everywhere. It's because the frets are that bit smaller, it's that bit closer to your eye, and it's that bit easier to get, okay? So you learn G major, then you learn it with open chords. You learn to play G major with E minor, C, and D. You are not aiming, it's called a bar chord. You would have learned open chords ahead of bar chords, but it's a totally different animal. So you gotta like base it, like if I said to you, if you broke it down and you spent a month dedicated to learn your first bar chord and you'd be guaranteed you'd learn it after a month, would you do it? Odds are you would, because so many players will go, I've been months trying bar chords, but it's in the approach. Okay, so it's G major. Remember to use the power of your elbow. Like a lot of players think it's all about the thumb and pressing hard with fingers, but think about this, like the power of this versus the power of an elbow going back. Like if you can pull your elbow back at all, it'll give you extra power, okay? That can help. And then just treat it long term. That's what I say about the bar chords. All right. All right, Andy, glad you can make it. Moses, you're very welcome. William, you're very welcome. Okay. Nice. Thanks for the tip about. Okay, tip in from Techie. Bar chords. Where's my mind with the Pixies? That's a. What's that? Yeah, good. That'll be a good one for bar chords, definitely. All right, folks, that has been this evening. If you're inside our community, you are getting the board notes later. Okay, I'm going to share that here. So I'll share this in the community in the morning, the building blocks for the practice, and glad you could all make it. And for those of you